Hi, how are you doing today? Welcome to my daily live session on one topic which I have changed the modus operandi, the way I've been talking in all this while. I changed that this week. So I'll be talking about one tool and or method from my toolkit for execution excellence and trying to elaborate that during the week. And before I start that, let me very briefly introduce myself. I am Dinakar, founder of Samutana and inventor of DoHow, a methodology for achieving amazing outcomes, challenging goals and targets, described in my background pictorial. We normally start by getting the teams aligned towards one goal, one amazing outcome, and after that, you start working using multiple methodologies. One of that is the DoHow game, then the DoHow apps for cascaded consultant coaching, and also the apps for getting the reports done, reviews done. So basically, we kind of introduce a system for managing and for leading, so that you are inspiring people and managing for making sure that it is efficient, to work on both effectiveness and efficiency as the goal gets achieved. And in doing so, people having experienced these new methodologies and technologies, and also having a lot of one-on-ones, start developing their skills. And it's not just about developing the skills; it's about doing what they are knowing. Basically, that's why I called it as do how. So that's what we do. With that very brief introduction, in case you want to know more, please do check out our e-brochure, and you are most welcome to write to me anytime. My email is dinakar@samutana.com. With that brief, let me directly jump into the topic for the day, which is learning from presumptions. And today, my discussion would be on the negatives or the cons of this particular toolkit, of this particular tool or method for learning from presumptions. And before I go to the pros and cons, let me just give you a very quick recap. Learning from presumptions is about trying to understand the cause and effect, and based on that, trying to extrapolate, and based on that, trying to see what can be achieved in the next, or what could happen in the next stage, like what you see in the pictorial. By looking at the humidity and the temperature, one could then start predicting and doing presumptions on whether it's going to be sunny or whether it will be raining. And that's the basic idea, and for that, it's important that we know what the background is. One of the ways of learning, and these are the 6 ways of learning described, or which was being practiced in the ancient Indian learning system, and that was called as pramanas. 6 pramanas are there, and one of them is arthapatti. Now, with that introduction, which I did on Monday, yesterday I spoke about where will it be applicated. It basically is applicated during the problem solving phase. I said during our interventions, we have 4 different phases. One is to check the current reality, to get the baseline established by everybody. That is the most important thing. And after that, try to get into the problem solving by deep diving to understand where the problem is and what the contributing factors are. And after that, to work on methodologies and systems for ensuring stable progress. When I say systems, I'm not talking about an ISO system. Our systems are very simple. You have a goal to achieve, you've been given a task, and you report that on a regular basis as to what the progress is, what you have achieved. And based on that, you review once in a week to find out whether it is being done or not. And as you move along, in case you feel that something is being done very, very repetitively, try to see if you can first define a standard for that. And once you have done a standard, try to see if you can automate it. As simple as that. That's the whole idea. And as you move along, within 6 months, then you would have automated a lot of things in your organization, and at the same time, you could have learned a lot, because by doing this, we are just creating standards, and then a system gets created on its own. We are not trying to implement any system as an ISO system or whatever it is. Of course, we could do that, but that's not our core activity. So that's the phase of the stable progress. And then the mindset and culture is all about changing the way you think, changing the way people behave, changing the way they have, what kind of habits they have got. And for that, we have our own methodology, which is invented by me, called as Do How. It's a workshop kind of a thing, something like a brainstorming, where you have individual and collective tasks. And then apart from that, we also deploy cascading consultant coaching app. I call it as consultant coaching because we are telling in that particular app as to what type of topics should be discussed, because that is very critical for the goal to be achieved. And that one-on-one is done by every manager with every employee at least once a week for about 15 minutes to go through that app. The app basically gives you a guide. It's a structured discussion, and that's what we do. Now, that's what I explained yesterday, and then I said this learning from presumptions is something which we use in the problem solving phase to understand the cause and effect, and then move on to the next activity of stable progress once we have understood the cause and effect. And now, today, my goal would be to talk about negatives and cons, what is not so good with this methodology. The first thing which is important, which I don't know whether it is not good or not good, one needs to have a very, very high level of general knowledge, because it's important here that one needs to be able to understand what are the causes and what are the effects and what's happening and how is it working. And therefore, general knowledge is very important. And at the same time, in that particular domain, one needs to know needs to be quite thorough. So that's first negative. That means any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot be learning from presumptions. Learning from presumptions can only happen once you have had some base information, bases set up, foundations are available. That is the first one. Second is building hypothesis demands keen observation. That is something which is extremely important. For this, it's not necessary that one needs to be very well educated or very well learned, but it's important that one is a keen observer. If you see many kids, even when they have not even gone to their primary school or preschool, there are some kids who are very, very keen. They observe very keenly. And these are the kids who understand the situation very, very well. And that kind of a quality has to be developed. And that's not easily available in the market. Or let us say all of us would not have the quality of being keen observers. So that's the next one which is required, which is again a negative, because it's not going to really make everybody do this, use this methodology. And the next is when you do the learning from presumptions, the cross-domain knowledge sharing is difficult. What do I mean by that? Because here every presumption is extremely specific to one system, one cause and effect. So it's not something which is generic. And since it is not something generic, so it's not easy to really use this methodology as a tool for lessons learned. Lessons learned is something extremely important for organizational learning, organizational development. So there, this kind of a tool will not be very useful, because that would mean that the knowledge which is derived out of this tool should be something which is common and which should be transferable. So it's some kind of a transferable skills. A lot of people keep calling as soft skills. Soft skills also are called as transferable skills. That means whatever soft skill you have learned in one company could be used in the other company. For example, if somebody has learned how to communicate, somebody has done how to delegate, somebody has done how to fix the targets, somebody has done how to follow up, how to review, somebody has done how to conduct a one-on-one with the employee, how to conduct an interview. These are all things which is not domain specific, neither is it industry specific. So therefore, such skills can be transferred to a different company, and therefore they're called as transferable skills. That's the fundamental difference between transferable skills and domain skills. So here, with learning from presumption, it's not very easy to transfer the knowledge gained from learning from presumptions to any other area where it can be applied easily. So these are the three cons, which one side, if you look at it, it's something which needs some basic information. The basic understanding of the cause and effect is necessary. Without that, learning from presumptions is not possible. And the next is that one needs to be very, very keen in observing what's going on. That's something which is extremely important. And if any one of you is watching my video now, you also look at what observation. Observation could be on my body language, could be on what text is written there, what spelling mistakes are there, could be something to do with the colors which are used there. Very keen observing. That's something which is extremely important, because that's a skill that we learn. So if you look at it, on one side it's negative because that skill is required, otherwise learning from presumption will not be possible at all. And on the other side, if you do not have that skill, practicing learning from presumptions, though it is a negative thing, though it's not something positive, would evolve the skill of observation. That's something which is equally important. So with that, I come to the end of today's live session. I always try to close it within 10 minutes. That's my target. So for those of you in India, have a nice evening. For those of you outside India, have a great day ahead. And see you tomorrow, more or less at the same time, 8:30 Indian Standard Time in the evening, to talk about pros and positives of learning from presumptions. So thanks a lot, and goodbye.